Hello and welcome to another edition of the Tigers Down Under. I'm your host Alex, and with me I have Dan. How are you, Dan?
Yeah, pretty good after a really good result, really good win on the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, we sort of sat here last week, and I don't think it was a completely unexpected performance. I think you tipped a win. In fact, I was a bit more cautious and tipped a draw. But I think we sort of recognised that Southampton have these issues with, no wins since opening day, struggling to score goals. We saw against Swansea as well that, teams that aren't as free flowing potentially do come unstuck against us, because as soon as we can score a goal or two, it's a lot harder for them to flick that switch and start scoring a few goals than it would be for us to, if not for the last couple of minutes, get a really deserved clean sheet, which was really impressive.
Yeah, I thought despite Southampton having the majority of the ball, I thought we looked way more dangerous pretty much whenever we did have it. So it was again, I don't think they had. I mean, they got the goal, but I can't really again think of too many big saves, big chances.
Yeah, I was just going to have a
The,
look.
the pen, the
How
pen
many
had
shots did they
to
actually have? They had four, well, insane that they had 14 shots, but of those 14 shots, only four were on target, but only one keeper save. So clearly they had a couple of shots that defenders blocked, but the vast majority of their shots off target, and really not
Yeah, I
much.
think the only one I can think of is um the left winger. I think stocky bloke. I can't remember, but he sort of got into the box and got a turn and got a bit of a shot, but it was a bit of a low dipping weak sort of thing, and it bounced just in front of Panda, and he sort of spilled it and reclaimed it.
Yes,
Well,
yes,
that's
yes.
about it's the only one I can think of. They
They had
didn't really.
their American striker had that shot early on, I think at 1-0, where he got fed through by Azaz and then shot just wide,
Oh yeah,
where that
that's
was looked a
right.
bit dangerous, but that was the only other one.
Yeah, I thought for sure they were gonna that he was gonna get. I thought he got 1-on-1. He'd done well to get past the defender and then just didn't really just not enough composure, I guess, or I guess credit to Panda for coming out and closing those angles and everything as well. But I thought a really good showing, and I think against Swansea, you sort of pointed out that you thought Amir Hadjiematovic, something
You're
like
just
that.
welcome to try. I'm not going to try.
You thought he quietly went about his business and was really it was impressive here against Swansea. I thought I thought this for me he was he was solid against Swansea, but he didn't stand out for me as much, apart from I guess the one pass in that Swansea game that set up the first or second goal. I think in this game, though, I think his presence was really acutely felt throughout the game. There was a number of big challenges, a couple of sliding blocks and things where desperate to stop things and get involved and break up play. And he seemed to be, or maybe I was just paying more attention to him or something, but he seemed to be like a really integral figure in most of what was happening on the park against Southampton. So I thought a really, really strong display from him. McBurney with a goal and a couple of assists or whatever. Um, it was hard to sort of say that anyone had a really bad game. Even Joseph, who you said, you didn't even know he was on the field the game before. I thought I was almost going to make a comment. Oh, are you noticing him yet today? Because I thought, he was getting on the ball and actually doing
Yeah.
some useful stuff, and he was defending and he was sort of in everything. And then I held myself off, and then a few minutes after I didn't send it, he scored, and I was like, oh well, I better write it now.
Better at it now.
Uh, but I guess probably the real dampener on the afternoon is probably the Mo Balumi injury, which I think they're just waiting on scans to confirm. It looked like a bit of a hamstring strain or something from the sort of the stretches and the movements they were doing. It didn't seem like it was like they weren't testing knee stability or anything. So
No.
hopefully it's just that, and that's. I know it's frustrating. It's frustrating for us, and it's definitely going to be frustrating for Mo. But it's probably not too unusual, unexpected after such a long time out to sort of come back and maybe he's just pushed himself. Maybe we've pushed him a little bit too hard too soon. And
well, it just doesn't feel like we have. That's where it must be so frustrating. It feels like we've been so cautious with him, and we've done all the right things to bring him back. And you go, oh, it's just it'd be so tough for him as a player to be like get that taste of a start and then be back on the side. Even hopefully it's just a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and I think the other thing I sort of said was, I think as soon as he went down and the physios went on to look at him, I think they probably just went, yeah, come off, like you're coming off. We're just going to play it safe, unless it was just like, he goes, I just got a cork or something. But anything beyond that, they probably go, you're just coming off. We're going to go get you assessed, get your recovery started, so that this doesn't turn into a big thing. So, but fingers crossed, it is just something minor, and it's maybe a couple of weeks. Daddy's talking.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, it'll be interesting to see what happens with that one. I think, like you said, that was probably the major sour note, because I think you're right. Like, you sort of look at the 11 and almost every player was a very strong performer in the game. Like, Coyle's had his critics over the years, and I thought he was fantastic. He put the ball in that led to the first goal. After Gelhardt had the shot saved, he then put in the ball for the second goal as well. Yeah, the really, like, that goal was just such an incredible sort of bit of end-to-end play from the team, with Coyle getting it to McBurney for the knockdown for Lundstrom. And you just think the way that we've talked about it with a few players like Slater as well, but the way that Coyle has sort of almost seen out every competitor to his position, every manager that's come through and potentially thought, okay, well, like, we can progress past Coyle and we'll bring in someone else, or we'll start Drame, or we'll do whatever. Coyle comes back in and he shows his worth. He shows his position as captain. And this is that sort of game where it really underlines his position at the club, I think, and the fact that he's such a valued contributor. Because I think, as good as Drame looked against, I think it was his first game against Coventry, there's something a bit more reliable about Coyle in the way that he defends, but then also the way he gets forward. So I thought he was a standout for me. But even Panda, who I've been a bit critical of at the start of the season, I thought, like you said, like he didn't have a whole lot to do, but when he did, he was pretty well performed. Hughes is probably actually the other one who I'd probably say I'm still, I think he certainly looked a lot better in this one. Like, I think he was stepping up. He was making good challenges. But there was a couple of times that he was still caught out of position for his chances, for the Southampton chances. So I think he's probably the other one that I'd probably still be a little bit concerned about. So we'll see how he goes over the next few weeks. But like you say, like, that midfield, Lundstrom looked strong. I mean, he's had a few weaker performances, but I think he's starting to look stronger. Amir looking good. I'm not going to say his last name. JB, when he came off the bench, I thought looked really good. I think he took a good opportunity. And that forward line looked good. So I can't complain with a performance like that. So it looks like Liam agrees too.
Yeah, look, I think I think the thing is, as we're starting to look at, early in the season, when we were still sort of waiting for a few signings to come through the door, and it was great to see some of those under 21s on the bench. Great to see guys like Tinsdale and McCarthy and that around sort of the squad. But I think now you look at the bench, you come into a match day, you look at the bench, you go, that's a good quality. There's depth there, and you've got guys who have been there and done that sort of coming on now. When you've got guys like Casey Palmer, Slater, etc., coming off the bench, you're going, well, we know they can do a job here. You're not sort of throwing a kid in and going, I hope they can cut it.
Yeah.
But it does obviously limit the opportunities for those younger guys. But their time will come.
Look, I'm sure
we're in a really good position, I think, squad wise, at the moment. And I guess you just hope that in the next couple of weeks, when Miller starts to make his comeback, that we don't have. He's got no major setbacks or anything as well. So
yeah, no, for sure. Votes from this game for you?
So I just wrote them down. So I think this was another tough one where I think, as we sort of alluded, like pretty much everyone put in a shift, and I think it would be you'd be hard pressed to if you gave points to anyone to argue that they didn't deserve something. So hopefully we've got some different players in our little lists. But
Yeah.
I went McBurney for the 3. I think goal, assist, all round quality, getting involved everywhere. I think I just can't. I think I was unsure about how, I thought if he got started, we'd have a player, and if he took a while to get going, I'd be good. Well, he's only a free, but he's looking real good value for a free transfer at the moment. I've given the 2 points to Amir, who, as I said, I thought was, I think the dominant of the 3 in the midfield, even though Lunny got the goal. Jeez, stop that. And for a point, actually, I gave it to Joseph, who I thought, he's now 2 goals in 3 games or something, and I think the last couple of games has seen him, I think, really come on in terms of, I guess, like getting involved and not being sort of a passenger in the game and stuff. So you get out. Sorry. So yeah, 1 point to Joseph.
Yeah, well, I went 12 for the 3. I thought he had a standout performance, as I said. I mean, yes, he got the 1 assist. Actually, I don't think he ended up with any assists in the end. He got 2 pre-assists. He got the assist for Gelhardt's shot, and then
key passes or something.
Key passes, I think they are now. Yeah. So he got those 2 crosses in. I thought he was terrific. McBurney with the 2 votes from me. Yeah, goal and assist. I think he's leading the league for goal contributions, which is pretty awesome. Considering I saw some stats floating around when you go like last season, our top assists was Mellum and Kamara with 3 each, and I think McBurney's got 3 already or something like that. It's kind of crazy to think, and he's got 3 goals already or whatever. Pretty crazy. And then I also went Joseph for the 1 vote. Although I will say honourable mention for Giles. I thought, the ball in for McBurney's goal. I haven't touched on him yet, but he's one that I think we sort of flagged as well, played pretty well against Swansea. So I think if he can continue to get that consistency, I think that's the main thing for him, is getting more consistency into his game. And I think having someone like McBurney to get on the end of the chances he creates will just motivate him even more to be putting those balls in the box and to be, asking those questions, and that'll be a positive as well.
Yeah, I think they seem to be forming a real nice little partnership. He's fed McBurney a couple of really nice balls now to just get a couple of his goals. So I think McBurney knows sort of like he wants to play sort of off the shoulder of that last defender, and he knows that Giles knows that he wants to do that, and we know that Giles can whip those balls, across the box behind that defender. So I think that hopefully that continues to bear fruit, that little partnership there, because that's I think a sort of a dangerous asset, a dangerous combination that we have at our disposal.
Yeah, and just to reiterate again, just very frustrating to not get the clean sheet, because I think that was the performance that deserved a clean sheet. I think you sort of said it before that Southampton had so much of the possession but just did absolutely nothing with it, and it's really just right at the end of the game that they've managed to break us down. But it was a performance deserving of a clean sheet. It was very reminiscent of that Sheffield United performance last season, I thought, where you go away, in this case at home, but backs against the walls, low possession numbers, smashy and grabby, I guess you would say. But it would have been nice to hang on to that clean sheet, but we will have to wait. It's also, it's interesting as well. We sort of talked about it last week in terms of the approach at home, and the fact that, yes, we had the poor performance against Blackburn, but we had the flu and that was affecting all the players. But Oxford, we were very much on the front foot and scored 3 goals and got the win. And again, another 3 goals against Southampton and getting the win on the board. It's a good way to start the season in terms of home form, home confidence, gets the crowd up. You could hear the atmosphere was buzzing and really lifting as well. So you think if that continues, that's a huge sort of positive for us, and sort of like a good what's the word? Like, it's going to assist the team a lot having that sort of support at home.
Yeah, I think I'm going to blame the goal that we conceded on the commentators, because I'm almost certain that we got to injury time and then they started talking about first clean sheet, at home and rah. So I'm blaming them for that. I guess the other key thing to think about is at the moment we're 2 wins out of 3 at home this season, which is home form that we haven't seen in quite a while, probably since
years,
the League
probably.
One season.
Well, yeah, in front of crowds. Yeah, probably about 10 years for the crowds to
Yeah.
see it.
But yeah, also, can't forget that, another 22,000 fans or something there at the MKM. So I think, that I guess maintaining that over the last couple of seasons has been, after Ajun, built the fan base back up, or the attendance is back up, to keep maintaining that, and now to be able to start rewarding those those fans with some good strong home performances and some home wins finally, I think is great. And I think, you always set out every season to sort of make your home ground your fortress, so to speak, to make it so that you don't get beat there, and sort of, hope to then pick up some other points away. So I think if we can do that, because I think over the last couple of years it's been almost the reverse. Teams would come to the MKM and take points, but we'd go away and nab points elsewhere. If we can sort of turn that around and get the home form going, and it looks like we're going in the right direction at the moment. Maybe Giovanni was the good luck charm turning up at the ground on the weekend.
Yeah.
So we just need some former talismans to appear. Maybe Hernandez can come for an appearance.
Yeah. I mean, you look at Giovanni; he doesn't look like he's aged much. I think I saw someone make the comment, "Oh, look, would he be good for 10 minutes off the bench? Like, he still looks pretty fit." Hernandez is another one, I reckon. It's funny, the players that maybe haven't been at the club that long, but do kind of keep that affiliation with the club. Like Hernandez as well. Like, he's always liking the posts on Instagram and following the club. Like, it's cool to see these kinds of guys. So a cynic might look at a Brazilian guy coming from Italy, in Hernandez's case, to Hull, going, would he really care about playing in like rainy northern England? Like, after a couple of years he leaves, he'd forget all about it. But like, he clearly has that affinity to the area.
Yeah, I think. I mean, obviously, I don't know exactly what it was about his stay there, but he certainly, I mean, he endeared himself to the fans, and I think the city, the fans endeared themselves to him a little bit, because, as you say, like, he seems to be maintaining that connection. And I think every time transfer windows open and someone says, "Oh, we should sign Hernandez," he's always like, "Oh, I'd happily come and play for Hull again." So
it's an interesting one. Cool. Well, we'll talk Watford then. So Paolo Pezzolano is the manager. So they're playing tomorrow morning, I realised, because I was trying to figure out why they hadn't yet played their sixth game of the season. But they're playing Millwall tomorrow morning. He took over in the summer from Cleverley. 1 win, 2 draws, 2 losses from their first 5. So another team that's not sort of ripping up trees. And it's sort of funny. I actually thought they had a really good start to the season, and I think that's very much the Australian bias of seeing Irankunda scoring goals, and you think, oh, they must have 2 or 3 wins on the board, and it's like, no, well, I guess he scored in draws and things like that. But obviously, all eyes on him, and it is really funny, because I sort of said it half jokingly a little while ago that I should be the Australian scout for City, because I still remember sitting in the stands with Mitch watching a Wanderers game against Adelaide, must have been 2.5 years ago, with Gauchi in goal for Adelaide, Irankunda ripping it up, and thinking, Irankunda, he'd be good on a wing next to Philogene. Gauchi's that sort of ball-playing goalkeeper that Rossini would want in goal. And sort of 6 months later, Gauchi's off to Villa and Irankunda's off to Bayern Munich, and you go, oh, yeah, it would have been nice. And now Irankunda at Watford, you go, oh, yeah, it would have been nice to have them at City. But I guess another winnable game, good chance to try and get 2 wins on the trot.
Yeah, I think I think we've got the 2 losses, the loss to Blackburn and Bristol, I think they sort of had the potential to be really damaging to sort of any sense of confidence that we were building. But I think a really hard-fought draw at Swansea, and a really, even though we didn't have possession, I would say a dominant win against Southampton. I think that confidence is back up. I think we go into this, pretty positive, pretty confident, and I feel pretty confident that we can get the 3 points. Despite obviously the dangers that that Watford do have. Irankunda is certainly one of them, especially off the set piece. So we'll just have to be careful around the 18-yard box not to give away any fouls.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I realized as well, I saw they signed Nathan Baxter from Bolton, so I was like, oh, geez, that's a name I haven't heard for a little while. So, a couple of ex-players or associates at Watford. I guess the main thing for this one is obviously Balumi out injured. Is it a case that I don't know? Would it be that Akintola comes back in? I guess he was the one out for Balumi in the first place, or Ndala potentially. I mean, there's a few options now, which is good. And we were sort of saying before, I don't think there's anyone else that's really deserving of losing their place.
Yeah, I mean, the other option is do you throw do you push Gelhardt out wide, and is there someone, just JB or someone else, come into that 10 in behind McBurney to, if we were worried about the midfield, would having, JB or someone like that a little bit of extra stability or strength, potentially. I don't know. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I guess like at first glance, I'd probably suspect that it probably is Akintola who just comes in as a sort of, like the like, comes in on that wing, and the rest of the team sort of remains unchanged. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting one, and it's quite good in sort of contrast to recent years. I guess the fact that the team does seem quite settled at the moment, even though we've got a couple of attacking players to come back in Miller and Balumi more permanently. It's nice having a bit more of a settled lineup because it does give a bit more continuity each week. It'll be interesting. I think Ajayi is meant to be back relatively soon. I don't know if I heard something about the Watford game or maybe it was the game after, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens there because I think Egan's been really reliable down back. I think I almost say it every week, and I'm really not saying it in the hope of an injury, but it's been really fortunate that he's been so reliable and consistent and fit. It'd be good to have Ajayi back when he's fit. And so it's going to be interesting. We'll have almost like a fully fit squad. It'll just be Murtaza that we're waiting on.
Yeah, which is obviously a situation we haven't really found ourselves in much. I guess over the last year or so, it just feels like we've always had some key player, and we haven't really had the depth, I guess, to sort of manage that as well as we are at the moment. So,
I'm really feeling like we're going to curse it. What am I saying?
Yeah, probably. But yeah, I think Ajayi. I think they said Ajayi and Crooks were they were sort of aiming for this Watford game.
Yeah, okay.
But I guess like it's sort of one of those things you say that, and then they've got to get through training and all that, and make sure that they pass their fitness tests and everything else. But I guess like the thing that they're close is good. But I think is Watford? Then there's another international break, or is there a game after Watford? Is there one more?
I think there's one more.
I was looking, there's not too many. So
yeah, it's interestingly, I mean, we've got Preston on the Wednesday morning. I mean, we'll probably try and do a podcast episode before the Preston game, so we'll probably do that on the Monday or the Tuesday. But yeah, so we've got Preston, and then we've got Sheffield United, who would be nice to say us had stuck around for a bit of a reunion. But that's So we got Watford, Preston, Sheffield United, and then an international break.
So probably a little still too long. I was like, it seemed too short. I knew it was in October, so I was like, is it so soon? No. I was like, that's probably a bit too long to go. I mean, if you're worried about it, just push them till after the international break again. Yeah. But guys like Ajayi and Crooks. But I mean, also, if we don't need to. Like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So certainly Ajayi, I think like you just take your time, and because we saw in the Coventry game how good he can be if he's fit, and you want to make sure he's fit. Crooks, I think, when he's ready, chuck him on the bench. I mean, you would with Ajayi as well, but he's probably not going to. The odds of him getting subbed on are less likely. But Crooks, certainly get him on the bench, build those minutes up, give him 10, 15, 20 minutes or whatever over a few weeks, and then potentially he's fighting for a start. Maybe it is after the international break, after a few sort of shorter appearances. But
Ajayi, I'm almost like treating the same as Balumi and Miller. I'm like, just don't rush him back. He seems to be made of paper. I don't want to. I mean, I say that. I mean, he did play almost all of our preseason and was fine. But I'm now just convinced after one game against Coventry when he got injured, I'm like, he's going to get injured after a game. So like, let's not rush him back. But you look at those three games, you look at Watford, Preston, Sheffield United, and you think, there's no reason that couldn't be another 10 or 12 points. 8 or 9 points, I mean.
Yeah, I was just as you said, it rattled them off.
Yeah.
That's very winnable. Like you could, just imagine going in the international break on 4 wins on the trot.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'd be sensational. And it's I think it's very doable. I'd say. I guess Chef's going to be potentially a different proposition in a month's time as to what they are sort of at the moment or a week ago, but still, look, it's a tasty little run of fixtures.
Well, I was just going to have a look. Who does Sheffield United play before they play us? Well, I guess they've got Oxford, then they've got Southampton. So you think they obviously lost to Charlton on the weekend. I reckon if they don't beat Oxford, I think there's a perspective there that it was all down to Sayers, and they got off to a loss with Wilder. So I think if they lost the next game as well, I think it becomes a bit more than just Sayers was the issue. It becomes that the club is the issue. So yeah, it's a very interesting time to play them. As you say, it would have been nice to have played them a few weeks earlier, or a few games earlier, but that is what it is. We're going off on a bit of a tangent. For the Watford game, I guess we're both feeling pretty confident. I reckon a nice, comfortable 2-0 win for this. I think we deserve a clean sheet, and we might get it.
Yeah, look, I was just about to say the same. I was about to say 2-0 was what was in my head. I'm ready to call it. So,
nice one.
Yeah. Let's go with a 2-0. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I think I'm in two minds. I think if Irankunda scores, I won't be too mad, just because I do love him. I support, for those who don't know, I support Adelaide United as my Australian club, so had a big affinity with him. It is quite amazing, or it's a bit surreal hearing a lot of English podcasters starting to talk about him and being amazed that he's so good at 19. And I'm like, he's been playing professional football since he was 15. Like, he feels like he's been around for ages at this point for us. For people in England, I guess it does just seem like he's just a 19-year-old kid who's just hit the ground running. But yeah, look, it'll be an exciting game regardless in that sense. So looking forward to that one. It is the night of the AFL Grand Final, Aussie Rules Grand Final down here. So I will definitely be watching it. I just don't know what sort of state I'll be in whilst watching it. So it might be a bit of a foggy podcast, kind of trying to cast my mind back to what happened in the game at that point. But we'll see how we go. But look, thank you for joining me for this one, Dan.
No worries. Anytime.
And thank you. And thank you everyone for listening in. Until next time, come on, City.